I have known people who have that happening too. So, all right.
What do people gain out of spam? Just for fun or something, or do they actually gain?
Well, it depends. Sorry, go ahead. Some of those are phishing, and some of those is to have you to buy counterfeit products and stuff like that. Yeah, that sounds like a really terrific idea. Maybe it's a covert operation from the government to do population control. So instead of Viagra or a product similar to Viagra, it's actually anti-Viagra. To do population control. It's like, yeah, go take that pill.
One of the things too is with ad-based, with click-based ads. People are paying lots of money in order to have their ads up because they pay per click, and so I've heard that those spams are also filtering through these ad clicking sites, so they're making money every time you click on a link inside the spam.
Yep, lots of people making money, sideways on the web. And you can see that our YouTube stuff, all the YouTube stuff that I upload does not have any ads because I intentionally do not put ads onto our stuff because it would just be distracting. Yep.
If you did, do you get some sort of kickback or something?
Yeah, I think per click, on a per click basis, you can get some money.
5 cents or something.
I don't know.
Fraction of a percentage fee.
I don't get enough traffic anyway.
You had like 46 views or something.
No, it's more like 5 or 2 for each video.
There were 20 the time I clicked on.
Oh, is it 20? Oh wow! I'll be making if it's 5 cents per click, I'll be making $1.
Damn. Every little bit helps nowadays.
I can get a quarter of a gallon of gasoline.
I guess how many people look at ad block? Even video ad block.
Yep. All right. So this is your homework assignment that's due today. Are there any questions about it, or do you guys think you got it already?
Yeah. We do it. Yeah.
Can we do it? We want to do it? Okay. So let's go ahead and do it. It really does not include any new topics that we have not talked about. It's a combination of stuff that we have talked about already. Yep.
I was tracing it and I got to a line like a 50 and I couldn't figure out what is wrong with it because it didn't work correctly like it was supposed to.
It's possible the code is wrong.
And then on the line 11, I noticed that it's 4 instead of and I was thinking it's and.
Oh.
And I was going back and forth, and I'm like, what is wrong with this? And I heard some people was done with it and they didn't complain, so I'm like, so it's me, it's not the code.
Okay. All right. Well, let's give it a try, since you guys want to find out what it does or how the trace should look like. So as we talk about it, I will not just talk about the homework assignment. I would also try to point out other things that are related to this homework assignment. Okay, line 1 is easy. A bracket 0 gets a value of 2. A bracket 0 is all spelled out already. It's column E. So this time column E gets a value of 2. I'll zoom it a little bit just so that it's easier to read. There you go. Line 2 initializes I to 1, so I gets initialized to 1, and those are all the one-time initialization that we have to do. On line 3, we have to deal with this comparison. I is less than bar A bar is, well, what is bar A bar?
4.
Bar A bar is 4. We have 4 elements in array A. What is I? I has a value of 1. 1 is less than 4 is true. Then we move on to line 4. We enter the loop. Line 4 says we want to copy the value of A bracket I minus 1 close bracket to A bracket I. It is very important to see where the minus 1 is. In other words, in this case, we have to compute I minus 1 and then use that to put inside the square bracket to find out which element of the array we want to access. So in this case, I has a value of 1, 1 minus 1 is 0. So the right-hand side refers to a bracket 0, which has a value of 2. So the entire right-hand side, the portion that I'm pointing out here, is 2. And then the left-hand side is a bracket I. I has a value of 1, so a bracket I refers to a bracket 1, which is column F. So on line 4, we are updating a bracket 1 column F with a value of 2. Are there any questions about this line of trace? Then we move on to line 5, but line 5 is just a repeat. I don't track that line. Go ahead.
So we've established 2 is prime already?
No. Yes, okay. That depends on how you ask the question. The first line of the program,
Right.
line 1 of the program, establishes that 2 is the first prime number. You have to give it a prime
that's
number
what
to
I'm
start
asking.
with.
Yeah,
Yes.
okay, I got you, thank you.
Yeah. But when we put 2 into a bracket I, we're not saying that 2 is a prime number again. We're just saying that use this as a starting point
Okay.
for the next prime number. So we move on to line 6. Line 6 is incrementing a bracket I. I has a value of 1. So a bracket I refers to a bracket 1, which is column F. So column F is the one that gets incremented from 2 to 3. Questions? Okay. Then we move on to line 7. Line 7 follows line 6. They're sequential. Line 7 initializes P to 0. So we put a 0 into column D. And then we move on to line 8. Line 8, is a long condition. So I'll just be lazy and do some copy and pasting here. Oh, not enough space. Change the font size. Okay, is that true or is that false? Well, let's look through this one by one. I would actually spell it out so that people in the back can tell what I'm talking about. The first part is P is less than I. Is the value of P less than the value of I from the columns? It is. Okay. So if it is true, I cannot use short-circuited evaluation because this is a conjunction. With a conjunction, if one condition is true, you cannot just say, oh, okay, the whole thing is true, because if one condition is true, then you have to evaluate the rest of the conjunction to see whether the whole thing is true or false. The second part is a bracket I mod a bracket P is greater than 0. A bracket I refers to column F, which has a value of 3. P has a value of 0, so a bracket P refers to a bracket 0, which has a value of 2 in column E. 3 mod 2 is what?
1.
Is 1. 1 is greater than 0 is true. So now we have true and true, which means we cannot stop. Okay, we have to evaluate the next one. And a bracket P times a bracket P is less than a bracket I. A bracket P once again refers to a bracket 0, which has a value of 2. A bracket I refers to a bracket 1, which has a value of 3. 2 times 2 is 4. 4 is less than 3 is
False.
false. So we have true and false. The whole thing is
False.
false. Excellent. So let me see if I can bump it up just a little bit, just enough that it will fit. Oh, too much already. Okay, that's the most I can do to. I can probably shrink the other columns a little bit too. I'll shrink these guys. So I have just a little more space here. There we go. Okay. If the condition is false on line 8, where do we go next?
11.
We go to 11. Very good. We skip all the way to 11. 11 has a condition to evaluate as well. It is asking, is P greater than or equal to I? Nope. So can I stop right now and use short-circuited evaluation?
No.
Why can't I use short-circuited evaluation? Because this time it's a disjunction. Okay, with a disjunction, if one is false, we have to continue to evaluate And we can only stop when we encounter something that is true, or the entire thing is evaluated. Well, since p is greater than or equal to I is false, we have no choice but to evaluate the second portion, which is a bracket p times a bracket p, which is just a bracket p squared, is greater than a bracket I. Is that true? P is 0. A bracket p refers to a bracket 0, which is 2. 2 times 2 is greater than a bracket I, which has a value of 3, is true. We have false or true. The whole thing is true. And when you have true with a until, what do? You get out of the loop, because in a repeat until loop, the until condition is called the exit condition. It tells you when to get out of the loop. So next we continue on to line 12. Line 12 is easy. We're just adding 1 to I. And then we go back to the beginning, which is on line 3. So you can see what I is actually controlling. I is controlling which element in the array am I trying to initialize or put a prime number into. In other words, I think last time we talked about this too, but it doesn't hurt to mention that again. When you look at the structure of the program, line 1 initializes the first element of the array. Line 2 controls, where do we start? It is right after the first element. This is pointing to the second element of the array. This tells us, line 3 tells us to stay in the loop as long as we are not done with the entire array. Line 12 is telling us, when we are done with each element, move on to the next element. So when you look at the highlighted lines at this point, lines 1, 2, 3, 12, and 13, that's a very common structure when you use a loop to access an array. You have the initialization, you have the you have the condition to say stay in the loop as long as we are still accessing one element in the array, and then at the very end you say move on to the next element. So you basically start with either the first or the second element. You keep going until the entire array is done. Yep.
So would that have anything to do with the array searches? Like it would do that, just go to each box?
It's
or
related, but in the search, your condition on line 3 would be changed because you can exit the loop as soon as you find what you're looking for. In this case, I cannot exit early because I'm not trying to find something. I'm trying to initialize the entire array with prime numbers. But yes, you can still see the basic structure of this in the search algorithm. Okay. So that means once you can identify the shell of the algorithm, then you can focus on the inside and try to figure out what is the remaining portion of the algorithm doing. The remaining portion of the algorithm, all it's trying to do is to focus on one single element and say, okay, we can start with this number, but what is the next prime number after this one? That's basically what it's asking. All right. So now that we know the structure of the code, we can continue with the trace. Go back to line 3. Line 3 is asking, is I less than bar a bar? Is it true or is it false? The answer is it is still true because 2 is less than 4. Then we move on to line 4. This time we are copying a bracket 1 because I has a value of 2. 2 minus 1 is 1. So we are copying a bracket 1 to a bracket 2. A bracket 1 column F has a value of 3. We're going to copy that value to a bracket 2. So the column G will start with a value of 3. Then we move on to line 6 again. Line 6 adds 1 to it immediately. So that becomes 4. Line 7 resets 0. Resets P to 0. The purpose of variable P is to control which prime number are we looking at in order to test the next prime number to see whether it is prime or not. And that's why it has to be reset to 0 every time we change the candidate. Because every time you change the candidate, we have to start testing from the beginning again. Then we move on to line 8. Line 8, is the same big O expression. So what is it? Is it false or is it true? Let's look at it item by item. The first item is asking, is P less than I? The answer is true. Okay, P is less than I. because p has a value of 0, I has a value of 2 already at this point. Next line, or the next item, a bracket I mod a bracket p. A bracket I is 4, and a bracket p has a value of 3. 4 mod 3 is
0.
no. 1. 1 is greater than 0, so we have true and true. And then we have the last one, a bracket p times a bracket p.
Isn't P
It's
0?
1 mod 2. It's
Sorry?
1 mod 2 because a bracket 0. I mean, a
Oh,
bracket
that's
P
right.
is 0.
Sorry, my bad. My bad. You know, okay, p is 0, so it has a bracket p is 2. So 4 mod 2 is 0. So that means the second condition is false already, and then we can stop. Thank you so much. So, and we can say it like this because because of short circuit evaluation, because the last part was not even necessary. Yep.
If I kept the third part, will it be marked off points?
Well, since I did not tell you guys not to mention the third part unless it is necessary, since I didn't say that, you won't be marked off.
Okay, that's good.
Yeah. Okay. Now, if it is false already, we can just exit the loop. So we go to line 11. Line 11 is going to test another condition. P is greater than or equal to I is false. A bracket P times A bracket P is greater than A bracket I is false because they are the same. Okay. So where do we go next? We have to get out of the loop, so we continue after the loop on line 12. I gets incremented.
We go to 5.
It's false, so we have to go back because it's the exit condition, so we have to go back.
Line 6.
Thank you. We have to go back to repeat, which is line 6. So we have to add one to A bracket I again.
You didn't get some sleep.
Yeah, well, I found out yesterday that not only do I have high blood pressure, but I also have sleep apnea. So, and also I only sleep about 4 hours. So even without sleep apnea, it's already bad. With sleep apnea, it makes it even worse. Yeah, excuses, right? Okay. When the condition is false, we have to go back because how do we call the condition of the until line? It's called an exit condition. So if the exit condition is false, you cannot exit the loop. So that means you have to go back to the beginning on line 6. So in English, what are we actually saying on line 11?
While?
No. But what is the meaning? What is the meaning of P is greater than or equal to I? What does that mean? When P is greater than or equal to I,
One has to be
what is the meaning?
this or this. Doesn't have to be both.
No, just this one. Just P is greater than or equal to I. What is the meaning of that in the context of this algorithm?
It's stating that we've already gone over half of the.
We have tested all the known prime numbers. Because P is controlling, P controls which known prime number.